At the time, I had just turned 26. I was actually breastfeeding. My son was about 6 months lactating. So I was, pumping, doing all that stuff. And my mom is actually very big on, get to know your body. Always, since we were young, I can remember her always telling us to, do self-exams, always check yourself. So I felt this lump on my right breast that I was like, it's just not going away. My mom was like, it's probably, one of your milk ducts is like clogged maybe, so all you have to do is really massage it out. So I did. And that's what I thought. I was like, okay, I'm breastfeeding. I was trying to cut my supply anyway already because I felt like, breastfeeding is a commitment.
If I remember correctly, she had gone to the doctor before for that same lump and they had told her that it was nothing.
Just kept noticing that this lump wasn't going away. So we're COVID right at this time. So practically impossible for me to get an in-person appointment. Everything was like video call. How can I honestly show you my breast on a video for you to be able to see that there's a lump inside and what it can be? It's no way. So I finally get an appointment about 3 weeks after I have discovered that lump. At this point, I had stopped breastfeeding. So I go in and they did not want to even give me a mammogram. They were like, well, you're too young to do a mammogram. You're 26 years old. Okay, they say it's recommended at age 40. Okay, so I didn't know what else to do. So I stuck around for a bit and they told me that they would do an ultrasound in the room. And they told me that a physician was going to step in. So they said, we have to order an emergency biopsy. And I was on the clock. I was working. So I was like, yeah, sure. At the time I didn't really process what was going on. So I called my mom and I told her, and she's like, it's going to be fine. Don't worry. So a week later, I get, again, because it's COVID, they won't give you your results. Usually they'll call you into the office and sit you down and give you the bad news. But because of COVID, they called me and they said, hey, we're calling you for X, Y, and Z. Please return our phone call. Okay. So my heart immediately dropped. My son was in the room. My mom was in the room. My sister and my brother-in-law and her kids.
When I found out, she was actually here at my house. It's funny because, it's not funny, but it's weird because that day, they had like maintenance going on in their apartment. And so she was like, oh, can we come over to kill time at your house while they're doing their thing, whatever. Long story short, she got the phone call here while she was at my house. We were all home. I think it was like nobody was working around that time. It was like pretty COVID-y still. And we were all just chilling in the living room. She stepped out to get the phone call and
it's going to be super casual conversation. Nothing was found. So I look at myself in the mirror as I'm on the phone. And when she's telling me, I literally laugh. Like the first thing I did was laugh. And then also because I was like, who the fuck is playing a joke on me right now? Like, is this serious? So she said, she told me, she said, stage 3 breast cancer. The good thing is that we think we caught it early. Told me, they tell you all these, the way they talk to you, you don't know all these medical terms and everything. I'm like, okay. And do you have any questions? And literally nothing came to my mind at all. And I was just like, okay, whatever. And they gave me this appointment to talk about it. And I come out of the room and
they told her and she came out and it was just like a huge ball of emotions just rolling around in the house. Like,
while we were at Jerry's, she got a call. She went into Jerry's bathroom and she came back. She came out crying.
I know that when she found out or when they gave her the call, I was not there. She was around my mom and my other sisters. But the one that told me was Jessica.
My sister looks at me and then I was like, I have breast cancer. My mom fell to the floor.
When she first told me, I felt like my world was just done. Because, Renee's my younger sister. She's my baby. So I just felt like, what's next? What are we gonna do? What are the steps that we have to take?
And at that moment, it was me, my mom, and Jerry in the living room. Obviously, my mom, as the mom, she got up first and she just hugged her and started crying. Jerry hugged her as well. I'm not much to show emotion you know, like I kind of like keep it all to myself. So in that moment, I was just kind of like stuck, like I didn't know what to say or how to feel. So my first instinct was just to come home. Like I came home and I called my boyfriend at the time and I told him, and he was just like, how do you feel? And I was like, I don't, like, you know, you don't know how to feel.
All my sisters were here, the kids were here, Dean was here, and it was just like, it was just weird, you know, to hear that kind of information about your sister, your youngest sister. And, you know, being in a family of women, there's 5 of us, including my mom, like hearing that happening to someone like your sister, and it being the youngest one, like it's not rare that someone that young gets cancer, but it's pretty crazy when someone that young gets cancer, you know?
I was done. I couldn't see my life or moving on with God. I don't know what's gonna happen. Is she gonna, you know, is she gonna continue with us? Is she gonna, you know, pass away? It's just, you don't know. When you hear the word cancer, you just don't know what to expect.
Like moms would do, you know, and screaming, praying to God that why couldn't it be her? Why did it have to be me? I just didn't even know what to do. You know, the whole room was like quiet. Till this day, as I'm talking to you, I can't even say, like, it's hard for me to say I'm a breast cancer survivor because I'm like, what? Did I really go through that?
It was a very confusing time. I felt like I didn't know how to handle it, so I guess I kind of just kept to myself.
And in a way, I was like, I felt fucked up in a way. Like I felt not so much selfish, but I just didn't want to talk about it.
Although it was harder on her, of course, but
you hear it happening to so many people, that when it hits somebody that's close to you, you're kind of like, you're just taken back a little bit, you know? And more than anything, she's our little sister. She's the youngest out of all of us. So it's kind of, she was a new mom. She's a single mom.
I just couldn't see my life without my 3 sisters. I remember she told me, I think she told me over the phone that they had diagnosed her with cancer. She actually texted me and told me that it was stage 3 and that she was going to start chemo and radiation and have surgeries done. Good thing she didn't tell me to my face, because I would have broke down. I would have gone crazy. But when she told me, I was like, okay, I have to be strong and, you know, be there for my mom, because, you know, to hear that one of your child has cancer and we don't know what's next, I bet it's very hard.
It had to be something that was
environmental.
No?
Yeah.
I was so mad at myself. I was like, this is not a gene that my mom passed on to me, to say like, hey, my mom and my grandma and my grandma's grandma, you know, it was me. I probably did this to myself. It was like the doctor literally told me, it's just bad luck.
How is it possible, you know, like, you know, cancer doesn't run in our family.
That someone as young as they are and as close to you as they are, you know, could potentially not survive this. But you know, she pulled through, and even that was just like a whole nother feeling in itself. And I'm actually very proud of her for handling it the way that she did, because I don't know about you, but information like that could really, you know, bring down a person. And someone who has a child, a young child, I think that's just like whole nother thing that could bring you down. So, I mean, you know her, and you know,
especially because, like I said, she was a new mom. She had her baby, and it's like just the thought of, you know, like everything just goes through your head, you know, like, will she be here to see him grow, you know, or like, how will this all affect her?
Just wanted to be asleep. She wanted to be in bed. But I mean, all we could do as her family, her support system, was just, you know, try to be there for her and for my nephew.
Can you imagine being a single mom, having your 4 daughters, and then going through everything that my mom went through with us, and then one of your daughters gets cancer, you know, as a young adult? I can't say how she felt, but as a mom myself, I can imagine. And then just one thing that I can vividly remember is her reaction when she found out, when they were all here at my house. That image is like in my head, you know, like feeling just completely like broken down, helpless. Thank you. That's the word I was looking for. And just like broken down, like you don't know what's going to happen. You're obviously hopeful that she's going to come out on the other side, but you just don't know. And there's always that like, what if, and you know, you try to stay positive and you hope, but there's always a chance that someone probably won't make it.
You know, my sister could have, you know, she went from breast cancer stage 3, and it's like, how?
I think, I won't speak for her, but I think that she pulled through as well as she did because she had us, you know, other women bringing her up, and, you know, her close friends too. I think that's important when you're going through a situation like that, having the people that love you the most really help you and just remind you that things are gonna be okay. But yeah, I mean, I really do think that her having us and having her son to constantly remember that there's a reason for her to continue and to push through, and you know, I think that really helped her.
She had just had a baby. She was a brand new mom, single mom at that, and it was just like, ugh, okay, so what now? It got to a point where I talked to her about it, and I said, what do you want to happen with Ozzy, with her son? I said, if, you know, God forbid something happens to you, what do you want us to do? Which is a very hard subject to talk to somebody about.
Yeah.
Especially my younger sister. And she just told me, you know, I just want to make sure that Ozzy is with you guys and he's good.
Because personally, I don't think I would have handled it as well as she did. And then it was the whole chemo part, like that was just a whole another experience. Seeing the way that changed her body, her personality, like she wasn't herself, you know, and that was hard. That was very hard, very depressing for me to watch. And of course she was very depressed, and, you know, her mood swings, and I know she became very, self-conscious about the way that she looked when she didn't have her hair.
She still had that spirit, you know, that bubbly Renee, and that, you know, she was still Renee, but I know that because of the cancer, she wasn't able to be herself 100%. She would, you know, wake up, have a happy face on her because she had to, because of her son. And also because I feel like she would do it for my mom to see, you know, I'm strong, you could do it. If I could do it, then, you know, I'm gonna be okay. But when I would take her to her chemos.
Renee, when she was going through all of this, she was a lot, like, obviously, you know, chemo and all that stuff, it fucks with people's, like, the way they are. She was a lot grumpier, but then she also became a lot healthier. She really watched what she ate. She was the one that would start telling us to use like all natural products and stuff. So like that, I feel like it changed her life a lot, and in good ways. You know, like when people get diagnosed with things like this, their initial reaction is like they just let it define them. Like they become very negative and all that stuff. And Renee she wanted to fight.
So that's when I started looking into, you know, I read an article of, I think it was a young teen girl that was also, you know, trying to expand and do like these natural things because her mom was a 3-time breast cancer survivor, double mastectomy, both breasts were removed. So it's like, what do you really remove after that? You know, when you're constantly fighting that battle, like how do you really go about it? So she started doing research, and the only thing that always came across her research was aluminum or, you know, parabens, like all these things, right? And she was like, what are these things? So she just decided to, you know, do all this because we're using like Dove, we're using Degree. It was my thing. Degree was my go-to because I was a sweaty girl. I was like, degree, sport mode, like, you know, that was for me. And then I started also reading into it, and I was like, wow, like this little girl is onto something, you know, like for her to be so open-minded at that age to try to help her mom, you know, into these things that we put into our body. I was like, I'm sold. So I started doing I'm barely starting to do all the, you know, the whole natural thing. My son's soaps are also, his body wash is natural as well. He doesn't wear deodorant yet, but when he does, I'm probably going to go that route. All those things, you know, I tried to do. I think I even have like a natural toothpaste that someone gifted to me when he was like younger, and I just kept buying it, and things like that. But yeah, that's basically why I just decided to, you know, change my lifestyle, and starting with deodorant, I think mainly is one that always comes up for everybody. And I think that we basically ignore, you know, because we're kind of like, oh, you know, the first thing you do when you go to Target or Walmart or wherever you buy your deodorant is you smell it, and you're sold by the smell, but we're not looking at what is ingredients are in here. I never did, because I was like, I don't care, it smells good, cool, you know.
Yep.
But that's basically why I decided to go and lean towards, you know, the natural products and make that change.
I remember you told me when we had a discussion, you were saying that you went to the flea market and there was a person there that talked about their story, and how at that point, when you were still going through chemotherapy, you started using the deodorant, and that, I think you said it was a ball that started shrinking.
Yes. So let me tell you that's crazy, because I was thinking about this story, and I really wish I remembered the lady's name, because she was probably the sweetest lady. After, I don't even know if I told you this, but after I bought the deodorant, she literally held my hand and said a prayer for me, which is great, because her father, I think, was also going through cancer as well, I want to say. It was just the story that I wish I could remember it. I have chemo brain, so I can't remember much, but I wish I could remember the story, because I know it was a good one. But so it was at the Berryessa Flea Market here in San Jose. This, you know, this little puesto, a little, what do you call it? Yeah, a little stand.
Mm-hmm.
And it caught my attention because it said, you know, natural soaps, candles, things like that.
One time we were out in the flea market, and as we were getting ready to leave, there was this little kiosk, if you want to call it, where a lady was selling natural deodorants, body soap, I mean, you name it, bath bombs, whatever you wanted, she had it. And so Renee stopped and she started looking, and you know, she let the lady know, you know, I'm going through this right now. You know, I was diagnosed with cancer, and the lady was telling her, you know, this is a really good thing for you to use right now, especially because you're going through all these radiations, you know, all these machines that you're with and all that stuff. So it's really good for you to use these products. So as I started hearing her talk about it, I said, well, you know what, let me try it. You know, you just never know, you know.
Need deodorants? And then she says, yeah. And then she started telling her about how I had breast cancer. So the little girl literally said, give me a second, I'm gonna go grab my auntie, maybe it might have been. So this lady comes over to me, hugs me first, and starts telling me, you know, why she did this. And she did it because of her father. That's what she was inspired by. She said that the doctor, at a checkup, the doctor literally told her father, what are you doing? What are you doing different? Because it's like you're cured. Like these tumors are just gone. And he said, he literally replied and laughed and said, I've been taking a shower. My daughter has me wearing these things. That was where her inspiration was. And she said that the doctor was hysterically laughing, but she said, I'm taking a shower. Like, that's what I'm doing. Like, I've been just bathing, taking a shower. And I honestly thought it was bullshit. I said, how can you there's no way.
Yeah.
Started wearing the deodorant. Lump. I kid you not. Okay, I was barely going to start chemotherapy. So chemotherapy will ultimately shrink your tumor. But I hadn't even really started chemo, you know, And my lump literally like it reduced. Like every day I'm touching this lump. When I go to bed, I'm touching it. When I wake up, I'm touching it. So I know what it felt like. I hadn't had any medications in my system at all. We were doing, I was doing IVF. I already had my child, but because I was so young, the doctor recommended that I would preserve some of my eggs. It was risky for me to go through chemotherapy because I would probably not be able to reproduce. Because I was going through IVF, I had to push my chemo. I had to wait. So I was willing to take that sacrifice because I never wanted to have that feeling of like the what if I could have had a baby in 3 years, so I was like, I'm gonna do this. And I heard it's a hard journey because I lived it, and I know I had heard before. I said, okay, we're gonna put your chemotherapy on hold, but just know that it's risky for you. Put my chemotherapy on hold to start IVF, and that's during my IVF journey is when I started doing the natural detergent that we were talking about. And that's when I noticed that my lump was already, kind of being smaller in size, I guess you can say. I had mentioned it to the doctor, and I told her that I was using a deodorant, but I don't know if she believed me.
These deodorants are sold at Target, not to like give them, shout outs or anything, but more so like it could be found in everywhere. I think the biggest way that we start getting the chemicals in our body is we go in the shower, we shave our armpits, we expose our pores, we take a hot shower, opens it right up, get the chemical, boom, stick it into our armpits, and our breasts right there.
Exactly.
And it's scary.
Lymph nodes running through your body. So your lymph nodes will absorb these things super quick. And that's why when they tested I have another scar where my lymph nodes were removed and tested. Because once they pass your lymph nodes, it's easy for them to expand in your whole body.
Soap, right? So it's like we get the soap, scrub it on our open pore, and then get the fucking deodorant, put it in our...
That's true. You just put it right over.
You just put it in there. So it's like, okay, natural soap, natural deodorant. What am I doing? I'm preventing not only breast cancer, but cancerous materials going into my body, lymph nodes, and traveling throughout my entire being.
Yeah. Every time you read about like deodorant and breast cancer, you always read about aluminum, right? That's like the first thing. My tumor was feeding off of my estrogen levels that were way too high in my body. So then I started looking into that actually, and I started reading about it. And this is that there's certain chemicals like aluminum that can mimic estrogen. That chemical, that aluminum in the deodorant was acting as estrogen, right, to my body. And that's probably why my estrogen levels were so high. I was forced into menopause at 26 years old.
And I'm always asking, do you use aluminum-free deodorant? No, you better go get the shit. You better promise me you're gonna get aluminum-free. What I've noticed with natural deodorant, first of all, they do come in really cool smells. Like this is like matcha and sweet cream, and it smells super good. I like it. This is that because it's a natural product, your smell starts to come out. Smell, all right? But that's you. That's all 100% you, baby. Okay? You can just stick this bitch in your fucking purse and you're completely fine.
Yeah, I think for me, because I was so, like I'm saying, degree was my shit. I was always like, degree was the way to go. So I was kind of like scared. I was like, well, what if I like smell? What if like, it's not the same? I finally made the switch. I was like, okay. I looked at a few. I did look at Native, but I don't know why. I think I might have looked at reviews, and like Schmidt's was like reviewed pretty well. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna do it. I actually did not have a problem at all with with switching over. I felt like I wasn't as sweaty. I didn't smell at all. So degree wasn't doing a good job. And so I got Smith's, and I had no problem. I have super sensitive skin. I didn't have problem with the transition. I didn't get itchy at all. I noticed that I wasn't even sweaty. I was like, and mind, I'm telling you that they forced my menopause on me. So you're good luck, okay? But you sweat all the time.
Yeah, I've heard.
all the time.
You get like hot flashes or something?
Hot flashes up the ass, like all the time. Okay, so I was like, I smell great. Like I don't even like feel it. These people that are doing this is because either somebody in their family have gotten sick, or they just want to change their lifestyle. Right? It's the best things that I've ever done. I mean, I've adapted to it very well. You know, like I have 3 sisters, so I'm always encouraging them to like switch over. I think Jerry might have been on the hype for a while, but I mean, I tell everybody like you should do it.
You know, I am happy that Renee did choose to, switch over and stop using that crap that could have possibly contributed to the cancer or, not helped it at all. But I do remember when she, like, as soon as she found out, she started doing research and she started buying stuff and searching stuff on Etsy, people that make, natural stuff like that. And when she got it, she was excited to use it. And lo and behold, here we are, and she's doing good. And, there's something to that, right? I'm gonna switch over too. I got like 2 more sticks that I got to get rid of because I buy them in bulk. And then I'll switch over, I promise.
Like, if you can avoid it. If McDonald's had a cancer-free French fry, you know what I'm saying?
We'd eat it for sure. Yeah, I mean, I have done like, I did go through a phase where like I started reading ingredients and like looking for certain things in like body wash. It's not really ever deodorant, but I mean, that's like a big thing, You're right. Like you shave your armpits, you're like exposing whatever is underneath the hair follicles, right? And then you're putting on that deodorant and it's going straight into your body. So I mean, of course, no one ever thinks about stuff like that. There's people that are more conscious about it, people like you, but then there's people like me that just kind of live their day by day, like doing convenient things just to. I'm gonna blame the kids, okay? I'm gonna blame the 2 kids that I have, but and so it's important. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, no, I mean, I think you got me thinking, and everything that Renee has gone through definitely should make more women aware.
Even with her son, like she won't let her son eat stuff that is not healthy. She wants him to be as healthy as can be, and she wants to possibly avoid this happening to her future kids, if she plans on having kids.
Also, I think because Renee was made aware that her cancer was environmental, and Renee is a great example because she wasn't using those products for 30 years, 45 years, 60 years. She was using those products since she was a teenager, maybe let's say like 15 years at the most.
Yeah.
And I think even if they don't work, I think it's important that we continue to try them because statistics are there.
So what would it take for you to try one?
I'm not opposed to it. Like, I'm open to trying it.
These are just things I talk to women about to avoid certain diseases that can be caused by these chemicals. And with Renee, I feel like she's living proof.
Even though she's 6 years younger than me, I feel that I would be a pussy to deal with what she went through. Trust me. I would not be able to do it. And I'm just very happy that she went through it. I mean, that she passed it and she's good and she's here with us, even though she's still a smart ass, but she's still here.
I know. And I told her that I was like, I feel like you gotta pick the right person to go through this.
She's a mom now. She can't live it up like she did before. But I do see that she knows she has more responsibilities and she knows she has to take care of herself now and make sure that she eats healthy. She's there for her son. She's still working. She was going through what she was going through and she would still get up and go to work every day. It's like when I see her, I'm like, she's my role model. Even though she's 6 years younger than me, I feel that